What's up, A to Z Sports Live on a Tuesday. The crazy week continues, and this is like drinking news out of a fire hose. Every day, it feels like. I'm like, all right, how do we try to sort through all the potential topics and questions and discussions that we can have today? But today, I think, is going to be a good one. We've got a Mike Borgonzi press conference to kick off the head coach search officially today at 10 a.m. So Easton's got a hard out time here this morning on the show, so we can scurry down to Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park and do all that. But the Titans are wasting no time scheduling interviews with fired coaches and some other hot head coaching candidates, and there's some other coaches continuing to get fired across the landscape in the NFL as the Cowboys just axe Matt Eberflus, who's now been fired in back-to-back years here in the NFL, which is tough stuff there. But
pour one out.
We'll drink some caffeine for Eberflus there.
That's right.
But we have a ton of stuff to get to. We have some news, some updates on Stefanski, Raheem Morris, and also another defensive coordinator that is already scheduled for their interviews. And so we'll ask you guys who you want to be eliminated from the first list of the request list the Titans have officially out there publicly. We'll also talk through the timeline. We'll go through other people that are not on the list and who you want to add. And then Easton opens up his notebook to talk about this head coach search and what he has learned about the Mike Borgonzi, Chad Brinker restructure or reorganize, whatever you want to call that happened on Friday. If we have time for shade, we will throw shade, but there's a good chance that we will not have time to throw shade.
This is possible. There's just so much to get to this morning.
Yes.
And we've got a big press conference coming up, so let's not waste any time, Austin. Let's tell the folks they need to do. They need to like the show. They need to jump into the comments. They need to get on Facebook and on YouTube, wherever you're at. Hit that like button for us, okay? We see the number of likes here on the back end. Frankly, not enough so far, but the morning is young. So hit that like button and then jump into the comments. I want to hear your thoughts on the Titans' 8 candidates that they have requested to interview so far. We'll cover all of those guys this morning. We're going to talk about who they haven't requested yet, who they need to request, who they have requested that we hate, who they absolutely can't hire that they've already requested, maybe why they've requested certain guys. So much to dig into before the Mike Borgonzi press conference at 10 o'clock this morning. So, like that show, jump into the comments. And Austin, let's get it started.
Let's do it officially. Welcome in the AtoZ Sports here. As always, we are powered by BTA Sports. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Easton Freeze, our Titans reporter for AtoZSports.com. We are Nashville's on-demand sports network, going live weekday mornings at 8:10 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline. Hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans conversations and topics. And we will have more of that Mike Borgonzi press conference on our social media, as well as takeaways on AtoZSports.com/Titans. I will drop in the Google preferred link here in a moment once I am done sharing the show, but everybody should be sharing the show as Easton just takes some, you get some smelling salts over there?
No, sneezing, but I could use probably some smelling salts.
It looked like a smelling salts reaction there as I glanced up and see you just like, oh, all right, let's go.
When we get bored this summer, we'll do some smelling salts on the show. It'd be a good bit.
Maybe. Yeah, for sure. But no, let's thank our sponsors before we officially get going, because they do make this happen. They help us out. They help the show be free to all of you. Wilson County Hyundai, make them a part of your new car buying process. Go see them in Lebanon or online, wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org is their website, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Barton Drury Insurance Group, customized solutions for all of your insurance needs, local and online at bartondrew.com. And Window Nation, take advantage of January's buy 4, get 4 windows for free. WindowNation.com is where to go for them. So here is the Google preferred link right there. So when you Google Titans head coaching search, and if you follow AtoZ Sports on Google, you will have us show up in your feed more often. It works. We've started to see that work. So please do that. It goes a long way for us. Easton, I think the best thing to do here is let's just go through what we know to be fact right now.
Sure.
Which is the live tracker that you have at AtoZSports.com/Titans of interview requests the Titans have now. Chiefs offensive coordinator Matt Nagy, former Cowboys and Packers head coach Mike McCarthy, Commanders OC Cliff Kingsbury, Broncos DC Vance Joseph, Chiefs DC Steve Spagnuolo, Colts DC Lou Anarumo, former Browns recently fired head coach Kevin Stefanski, and former Falcons recently fired head coach Raheem Morris. Those are the facts there. Now, the timeline, I think, is going to be fascinating too, because Titans Kyle throws this up there. Wednesday will be Colts DC Lou Anarumo. Thursday, Chiefs OC Matt Nagy. Saturday, ex-Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski. And I will also add, as Paul Kaharski had it, that Raheem Morris will meet with the Titans on Sunday. Is that all correct? I did not know the Nagy part of that.
Yes,
on the Thursday. So, okay. So I knew the others. So you've got Anarumo Wednesday, Nagy Thursday, Stefanski on Saturday, and Raheem Morris on Sunday, or what we know as fact of now.
Yes.
And so here's the other factual thing. This is tiny font, but it's a big graphic with a lot of colors. And shout out to Zach Lyons for doing this very. I actually like the way this is set up.
Yeah, he
very
made
easy
it
to read.
specifically for us.
Thank you.
That's not true. He just put it on Twitter.
I know. Well, you gave him credit. You didn't steal it. You just borrowed it. So
I'll return it like a library book. When we're
so
done.
Go ahead and take us through what these colors mean and what this means here.
Sure. This is like every theoretical Titans candidate. They obviously won't interview all of these guys, but the genre of candidate is what matters here. So obviously the McCarthys and the Dables and the Stefanskis of the world that are currently unemployed can interview whenever they like. They're free agents. This graphic, of course, by the way, if you can't tell, is about the earliest at which the Titans can do an interview with each of these guys. Clint Kubiak, the Seahawks offensive coordinator, or the Seahawks defensive coordinator, Aiden Durd, the guys that have first-round buys that played on Saturday this past weekend, they can interview as early as today, which isn't happening, but they theoretically could. So as of today, they can interview whenever. The next group of guys are folks that missed the playoffs that played on Sunday. So they can all interview today. That's your Anthony Weavers, your Matt Nagy's, of course, Lou Anarumo, Cliff Kingsbury, Mike Kafka, Jim Schwartz, Nard Wilson, Mike McCoy, Brian Flores. Those guys can all interview as of today. And then you've got the guys that are in the playoffs. The teams that play on Saturday and Sunday this upcoming weekend can interview as early as next Tuesday. So that is Jeff Hafley with the Packers. That is Chris Shula with the Rams. It's Jesse Minter with the Chargers. Chargers. The teams that play on Monday night, which that is just the Texans coaches and the Steelers coaches, of which the only guy that you could, I guess, theoretically expect maybe is Matt Burke, the Texans DC. They can interview next Wednesday. So Tuesday and Wednesday are the days for teams playing this weekend in the playoffs. And then you've got teams further on down here. So the rest of this has to do with the results that came this past weekend, so you can kind of ignore that. The point is, teams that are on bye can interview now in the playoffs. Teams that are playing this weekend can interview the middle of next week. And teams that aren't in the playoffs can interview as of tomorrow, unless you happen to be fired, in which case you can interview whenever you like. You are muted, but you look great.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that. I was muted as I was checking my protein shake for my morning back behind the graphic. But so the interesting note about Stefanski and Raheem Morris, I don't think was on that graphic.
He was not, no.
They can also interview in person.
They can, and they are.
And they are, yes, and they are. Right. So just to clarify.
Which I find interesting, by the way. The rule, of course, for guys that are employed, you can't interview them in person until the 19th. So this first round, and the Titans do this in rounds, they're going to do digital Zoom interviews, round one of around a dozen guys, and then cut it down to probably, 6, maybe 8, that they do in person starting no earlier than the 19th. But since these fired guys can come and do in person, and they are this weekend with Stefanski and Morris at least, I wouldn't be surprised if when they interview McCarthy, it's the same deal. I don't know. As an interviewer, I'm not sure I'd want that. Not that it really matters, but
you wouldn't want.
I want to keep the controls of my scientific experiment the same.
So you would want if round one,
some are in person, some are Zoom. Yeah. Because then you'd be if Stefanski or Morris makes it to round 2 and then they're in person again. First of all, it's like I'm dragging them back here from wherever they live.
And I will tell you, as a person who has to be a part of an interview process for hiring and juggling schedules, I don't care I just want it to make sure that it all makes sense and I don't drive myself crazy and I leave enough time in between to eat. So like and that's honestly probably what they're thinking is like, okay, we need to make sure that we are stocked up on our caffeine, our on-the-go snacks. We know when our potty breaks are going to be, and we make sure that we squeeze lunch in between these things, and it doesn't matter, right? It's just how efficiently can they do this for everybody's schedule?
Sure. I find it interesting that they are choosing to not keep round one purely online. And I understand that a big part of the reason I'd be curious to see, like, if there wasn't the January 19th in-person rule, maybe they'd prefer to just do like every single one in person over and
everything to be in person. I think there's some awkwardness about the Zoom interviews that they would prefer not to have happen. It's like, which is how A to Z does all of our interviews or via Zoom, but we go through our process and it's a pretty rigorous process.
You're not flying people in from out of the country.
No, we have way more than 2 rounds just to throw that out there. So
and Wendell, come all the way over here real quick.
Yeah, right. So I think I think it's a good thing that the Titans are able to get McCarthy, Stefanski, and Morris in person, and so you can have that interaction as you're doing the other things, and more candidates become available, and so you can come back to them in a couple weeks, so you get the first impression, and then you can kind of see how that compares and contrasts once you get deeper into the process.
Yes, that is correct. So we have these 8 that we have confirmed. Now, if you may be looking at this list that we have and wondering, where's the 8th one coming from? I've only seen 7 online. Well, that's because the 8th is If You Trust Me or Not. I reported over the weekend that Mike McCarthy and Matt Nagy would be getting interviews in the first round. Matt Nagy we've seen confirmed by national folks. McCarthy we have not yet. I'll also point out that the order in which we're hearing these quote-unquote confirmations from national folks doesn't matter a lick. It's also not comprehensive. There's a decent chance that we just haven't dug up some of the other interviews that they requests that they've sent out, because the Titans themselves, unlike in past years, are not sending out individual news alerts that we have completed an interview with Cliff Kingsbury. We have completed our interview with Vince Joseph. They are this year, for whatever reason, choosing to release the full list by round. So I guess just 2 announcements, which I'm suspicious may turn into just 1 announcement. Because if you remember the Brian Callahan hiring cycle, they got to round 2, interviewed. Callahan was the 2nd or 3rd in-person interview, and then they just hired him before he left the building. Like they did not complete a full 2nd round. Mm-hmm. So we may only get 1 initial list for the Titans, and then boom, they have a coach, which I find annoying, but that means that the national folks, the agent tied in people, are going to announce these things, and we may get an announcement from the Titans after round 1, and their full list is like, wait a minute, they interviewed that guy? I didn't hear that. Well, it's because it didn't get out somehow.
Yeah. And so Orlando has a good question. What makes the Titans satisfactory with the Rooney Rule again? And then he adds, abolish this rule, by the way. Yes, the rule with the greatest intentions, but the most ridiculous unintended consequences is the Rooney Rule. It feels like it was a great idea.
It's the greatest intent. It's actually not a great idea.
It was a good intended idea.
It's like somebody identified a problem and then said, what if we come up with the least effective, most ridiculous rule to try to solve that problem? And then that's the Rooney Rule. Because it's like the very, very worst form of affirmative action of all time, except at least in affirmative action, you get to go to the school. In the Rooney Rule, you just get a fake interview. It doesn't actually count for anything.
Yeah, and apparently sneezes on screen are contagious, just like yawns.
That's
now.
right.
So I'm sorry. This is off to a great start on the show. So
but to answer the question, 2 minority candidates you must interview for each position. This goes for coordinators as well, by the way.
And front office executives.
Yeah, for as far as I know, all of them except for assistants. Yeah. You must interview 2 minority candidates, and that rule. It's also funny how that rule can be kind of stretched. Like Mike McDaniel counts as a minority candidate interview if that's something that you're interested in. You can also get draft picks back as a part of the NFL rules. Like the 49ers got A draft pick in the 3rd round, a real nice shiny one for
Yeah,
Mike
and like
McDaniel
Robert
getting a head
Saleh,
coach.
I believe would count.
He
Technically,
does.
right? It's just minority, and so like it, So I don't want to get the chat is getting off into all these different like reactions about how it's insulting and all this. Like it was a well
We're all on
intended
the same
rule.
page about this.
Yeah, it is a very, 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 very flawed process, but it does exist right now. So, all right, let's go ahead and get to our topic at hand so we can stay on track here. And that is, we've got this list of people, right? These 8 coaches are the publicly requested to interview for the Titans head coaching job that, as of right now, we know the schedule of 4. And it is Wednesday is Colts DC Lou Anarumo. Thursday is Chiefs OC Matt Nagy. Saturday is former fired Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski. And Sunday is former Falcons / fired head coach Raheem Morris. So the first question topic of the day. Who is the first coach on this list you want eliminated? Not your favorite. We want one name. And this is a very specifically worded question because I want one name. I don't want the list of people that you don't want. I want one name. Who is the first coach on that list that you want eliminated and not there? So who is that first coach? We'll do all of that. But first, let me tell you guys about the Bone and Joint Institute. Why? Because we have the doc talk on the docket with the Bone and Joint Institute. My guy, Dr. Scott Arthur, is going to talk to us. That should come out Wednesday, tomorrow, because we got a Mike Morganti press conference later today. But we will be sitting down with Dr. Scott Arthur of the Bone and Joint Institute to talk about Cam Ward's shoulder AC sprain. And while we're at it, let's just bring in this super chat right here from Paige saying, my concern, Cam has the same type grade 1, grade 2 AC joint sprain that Levis had. How will that affect his offseason and accuracy work and postseason surgery too? Well, the surgery thing is unexpected, but we will ask Dr. Arthur all of these type of questions. And so, and on my list was to be like, Will Levis had this surgery or had this injury 4 years ago and decided to have the surgery this past August or July, whenever he had it. So there's a lot to get to with that, but we will talk to Dr. Scott Arthur of the Bone and Joint Institute. That'll come out tomorrow on a Wednesday for all of you guys to watch that for our Doc Talk segments, because the Bone and Joint Institute is phenomenal. They're great. It is the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care online in Franklin at boneandjointtn.org.
We are also powered by BTA Sports. Better for bettors. Download the BTA Sports app today using the link in the description below. You'll get a 14-day free trial if you do it that way. That's 11 more days than you would otherwise get. And you can make a lot more money in that time for free with our friends at BTA Sports. Their machine learning, analytics-driven betting advice, tools, projections, analytics. It's all in there. It's going to make you more money at the sportsbook. Try it today for free for 2 weeks using the link in our description.
All right, so which coach on the list? Sorry, I'm laughing at something else. I'll tell you what I'm laughing at in a second. But which coach on this list of 8 people do you want to be eliminated first? Here's the list right there. I was giggling because I was tweeting out the segment and I saw that whoever created the fired Matt Eberflus graphic for AtoZSports in an NFL Twitter account went like full out Mission Impossible explosion scene behind Matt Eberflus.
I like it.
And it just made me laugh really hard. So it looks like it's almost like the Elmo fire meme, but it's Matt Eberflus instead of Elmo. So it's a lot of explosives on that one. So which of this list do you want to be the first person eliminated? Easton, I will leave the graphic up while you head to the chat.
Well, first of all, King VC with his daily lock in and like the show. We, of course, appreciate you, King. And he's right. Lock in and like the show for us real quick. Belvis Duffield, what a name, says Lou Anarumo, get off the list. Juan, X-Score or something, says Nagy, can't do it with the Chiefs offensive coordinator. The Colts DC, can't even say Lou Anarumo's name, Z Wildcat. Andre says Spags, Anarumo, and Stefanski. Stefanski, interesting. Off this list. Stefanski, Ryan does not want...
Andre's not just flat out not listening when I said one name, damn it.
Well, he does not care. Stefanski, Ryan wants him off the list. PBFT wants Matt Nagy off the list. Nagy, show the list. Well, we are. Nagy, Stefanski, want Kevin Stefanski gone. Isn't Mike McDaniel half black? He is. That's why he counts. Absolutely no on Nagy. Nagy, Stefanski. Vance Joseph does not want the Denver Broncos defensive coordinator on the list, Bustin Diamond. That's the first mention of him. A lot of Nagy and Stefanski on here. Lou Anarumo, Colts DC, Lou Anarumo, Nagy, McCarthy. First mention of McCarthy. Randy does not want to see Mike McCarthy on the list. More Nagys, more Stefanskis. Wow, I'm surprised by the consensus here. Lou Anarumo, who is scheduled tomorrow. So, Austin, the vast majority of commenters are voting for Lou Anarumo, Matt Nagy, and Kevin Stefanski. Those are the three names that folks really dislike. And I think that those three names aren't that similar. So I'm surprised by that.
Yeah, they're all over the place. I'll go first. I don't want any part of Lou Anarumo. Like, what?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't want any of that. Like,
sure.
Why does Lou Anarumo get on this list? So we will bring up the resume of this. And I like he's an older coaching candidate, right?
I believe he is 59, if I remember correctly.
Yes. Right,
50s,
so he'll be
somewhere in there.
His age 60 football season coming up as the players get.
That could be fake news. He's in his 50s. I'll go look it up.
Yeah, you find the age here, but
I might be mixing with Steve Spagnuolo, who I'm pretty sure is 59.
Right, but Lou Anarumo has been a long-time defensive coordinator in the NFL. He was the D coordinator with the Bengals for a long time under Zach Taylor, with Brian Callahan for a handful of years there.
Nope, I was right. He's 59.
59. So he will be, when's his birthday? Will he be 60 next season?
His birthday is August 18th.
Boom. He'll be 60. So you're hiring a 60-year-old coach for the first time as an NFL head coach. So look, I'm sure there is some expected maturity that comes with that. But I mean, come on, like the guy's not been called up for a head coaching opportunity until now. And I don't think he was the fault for the Bengals defensive failures. They got him fired from Cincinnati. The Colts defense was good. Like, this is not against him as a person or him as a defensive mind. I just think there are so many other names that I think would be better than Lou Anarumo. It's just very uninspiring. And it feels like he's the one that makes me feel like the Titans will be searching for a new coach in 3 years or less.
Sure. I don't know what this comment means, but it's my favorite of the day. Steven says, no land coaches, which I'm assuming means they must hire C coaches, but I don't know where you find a C coach. I am with you. I just find the Anarumo thing funny. I have long thought that Lou Anarumo is a really fantastic coordinator. I think that he was absolutely scapegoated in Cincinnati when he was fired, because we see how terrible that unit is from a personnel standpoint. I think that you saw at the beginning of this year what he's capable of, maximizing the talent on a roster, and then the Colts defense started to fall apart, and then that has finished uglier than it started. But I think he's a really good ball coach. I agree with you that I'm not crazy about the whole first-time head coach at 60 thing. I also think it's just funny that the Titans are even entertaining the idea of replacing Zach Taylor's old offensive coordinator with Zach Taylor's old defensive coordinator. And the idea that they could try to sell that to the fan base is very, very funny to me. He's one of the guys on this list that I don't think anybody is seriously expecting to be an intentional, strong head coach candidate. And that's part of the notebook that I'm going to talk us through here in a minute. Not every guy on this list is intended to be a very serious head coach candidate. They are going to do a decent amount of recon interviewing, fact-finding missions with these interviews, potential coordinator interviews. You talk to guys to learn about them and their experience with other members of their staff who you may be looking to bring in as coordinators. You talk to them about their experience with other potential head coaches. You talk to them about their willingness to move as a coordinator next year, all of those kinds of things. So what is their expressed intention with Anarumo? I don't know. I also think Anarumo is going to get more than just this one interview, but I find that funny. He's not my answer. My answer is a different defensive coordinator. It's
okay,
Steve
so just to clear things up, to reset. So we're asking the question, who is the first name on this list that you want eliminated of the 8 that we know have been requested? The 7 were requested publicly that came out throughout the day yesterday, but the top 2 names on the list, Matt Nagy and Mike McCarthy. Easton, you had that reported over the weekend.
Yes.
And McCarthy is yet to be picked up on by the national people. So that's just an Easton Freeze nugget right there.
And maybe I'm wrong, or maybe I was just real early. We'll see.
Yeah.
I feel pretty good about being right. the guy on this list that is my answer, I should say, is Steve Spagnuolo, defensive coordinator for the Chiefs. As much as I really like Lou Anarumo as a defensive coordinator, I love Steve Spagnuolo as a defensive coordinator. For the past 6-7 years of our lives, we have seen him in extremely high-profile spots deploy some fantastic bespoke defensive game plans and win games on the back of his defenses. He's had a lot of good personnel, but I don't think he's ever had a world beating. He's not had like the Houston Texans defense this year where they just have so many cats that are incredible. They can just say line it up and get out there and go play ball. They're not disguising anything. No, he is a master of disguise. He is a master of confusion. We have seen him put opposing quarterbacks in a blender time and time again in primetime spots and playoff games and Super Bowls. But he is widely regarded as one of the worst head coaches in NFL history. His one stint as a head coach a long time ago with the Rams, he went 10-38, and that was a 3-year span. He was worst in the league twice. He had a 1-win season and a 2-win season in there. Of course, never made the playoffs. The chatter since then, just kind of when you talk to folks around the league, people that covered it, players that were a part of it, coaches that were a part of it, it just really super didn't work. And there is a reason why he has not been a very serious head coach candidate since then for the past 15 years. I don't think that he's a serious head coach candidate here. I'm not surprised one bit that they're interviewing him because of the Mike Borgonzi connection to Kansas City and the fact finding that they're doing and all of that. Do I think that he would leave Kansas City to come be a defensive coordinator in Tennessee? No, I really don't. So I'm not quite sure what the point of this interview is besides just Mike interviewing his guys. But I think this is there's not a bone in my body that expects him to be a serious candidate, and he's maybe the only person the Titans will interview in this entire cycle that would make me actively mad.
Really?
I would, if they hire Steve Spagnuolo as the head coach of this team. I mean, they could hire Mickey Mouse, and I would still, there'd be a part of me that said, I'll give him a chance. Like, I'm not going to be unfair. I'm going to give somebody a chance. But as an analyst, my reaction is going to be, that's pathetic. It's awful. You can't possibly do it. I can't believe they did it. And I would think a whole lot less of Mike Borgonzi if he went and hired his buddy, Steve Spagnuolo. Now, we can talk about what it would mean if he went and hired his other buddy, Matt Nagy. That's a different conversation for me personally.
That was going to be kind of where I was going to go next because, all right, so we gave our answers. We went with DC candidates, like older DC candidates. Spagnuolo has been a head coach before. It's been a while. Didn't go great. And
he's an incredible coordinator. I don't want to dump on him so much and lose sight of the fact that I
think Lou Anarumo has been a good defensive coordinator. Like I think the Bengals' defensive problems were not Lou's fault. He was the fall guy in Cincy for Zach Taylor to extend his life as the head coach there. But I also think if you hire Lou Anarumo right after you fire Brian Callahan,
I know, isn't it funny?
And you're like back-to-back Zach Taylor coordinators. that's
Zach Taylor, a guy that's going to be fired at the end of next year, by the way.
Yes, I think you can't do that. So that would actively make me mad if it was Lou Anarumo as well. All right, so let's go to the Matt Nagy because Matt Nagy was one of the popular votes here,
of course,
alongside my guy Lou Anarumo and Stefanski. So let's talk about Matt Nagy. Here's his resume. Easton, I will let you start. Why do you think I'm having you assume or guess the audience's opinion here? Why do you think Matt Nagy is one of the most picked options to eliminate first of this bunch?
Because everybody hates him. Short answer.
Who is and okay, so let's give
every fan I've ever talked to. It seems
for
certainly
what?
Every fan of the Kansas City Chiefs right now. If you search Nagy Chiefs online, or if you go talk to a Chiefs writer, I was talking to our Chiefs writer yesterday, and the very firm consensus is that they are preparing to throw a parade for when he leaves this offseason. And by the way, the writing on the wall is that he is going to leave, whether he gets a head coaching job or not. He's looking for a different job, probably at the very least an offensive coordinator job where he gets to be the feature play caller, gets to be the head coach of his side of the ball, which he doesn't get to do in Kansas City. Titans fans seem to equally hate the idea of the guy. I'm not saying I feel this way. This is all just perception.
Yes.
Because when we've seen things like the athletic profile that Dan Pompei did on Nagy, what was that, 10 days ago or whatever, the reaction from Titans fans was violent and aggressive and very clear that they think the guy stinks. I personally have been talking about Nagy in the context of Titans coaching shortlists since October. Obviously, every article that I've written about this search has included Nagy in some form or fashion. We've talked about him some here on the show. I've tweeted some about him. And you can tell just how badly people don't want the guy because the number of accusations I have fielded online, very hurtful, in the past week about being one of the Titans media that are just pumping up Matt Nagy and trying to soften the blow for the team because they're about to hire the guy. There have been more than I can count. And it's very funny to me because all I have said about Matt Nagy to this point is that I think they're going to interview him and that the connections between the team and Matt Nagy made by all the national media for the past 2 months are a little overblown just because there's a personal connection there. I'm not sure there's actually a lot rooted in fact there, and I've explained that explicitly. So I've not done one thing even remotely close to pumping up Matt Nagy, except for experimentally last week, simply tweeting out, this is what I said, people forget that Matt Nagy has a winning record as a head coach. Not an opinion, just a fact.
With Mitch Trubisky.
That's a factual statement. People forget that he has a winning record. It's by, I think, one game, but he does.
3. He's 34-31.
Okay, so and if you want to see the reaction that the Titans fans have had, just go click on that tweet and look at the comments and the quote tweets, and it is a lot of violent "how dare yous." So yeah, that's how I know that people don't like the guy.
So I think unless you're talking,
I do love Stefanski. You're right. I'll put that on the record. I don't know about that phrasing there.
Yeah, I would be careful with that.
Well, I didn't say it. Andre said it.
You just said you would put that on the record.
That I like Stefanski, not what he said.
Okay, all right. Just making sure there's a difference there. There is. I think unless you're talking to a Chicago Bears fan or somebody who is in Chicago covering the Bears, around the Bears, that lived the.
Do we know anybody like that?
We do. If I know a couple, actually.
He might have been begging us yesterday to come on the show to talk about Matt Nagy.
But and if something materializes, then we can revisit that. But I think for me, it's if you're not talking to somebody, if it's just like, then give me the example. I'm not talking at you, but give me the example of why you don't like it. Right?
I think I know why.
I no, but I don't think the public that hates him knows why. I think they just are piling on because his name Nagy and the Bears fired him.
There's a theory.
He doesn't do anything with the Chiefs because it's Andy Reid's. Yet they blame him for the offensive failures for the Chiefs since he returned. Like what? Like because he doesn't call plays? Like because Matt Nagy came in and influenced Patrick Mahomes, who is a veteran quarterback now, so badly? Like that makes no sense.
Matt Nagy is the final boss of Nick Holtz's. He falls firmly into the Schrodinger's Nick Holtz box in the sense that people can't pick a lane with a guy like him, and he's probably the most high profile guy like him, where you're not the play caller, you're third fiddle at best on an offense, and so anything good that happens, people don't give you credit for. Anything bad that happens, people attach to you. And so the excuse when a bad thing happens is, well, Matt Nagy's the coordinator. And the excuse to not give Nagy credit for the good things is, he doesn't do anything. What does that guy do around here? Nothing. So I always laugh at that because it's like, pick one. Does he do stuff around here or does he not do stuff around here?
It's the convenient. He's a very convenient attack person.
Yes.
Like you can just blame Matt Nagy all you want because you're never going to give him credit whenever things happen. And
I'm not saying he actually deserves the credit for the good things and none of the bad things. I'm not saying
I'm with you. And I'm not saying I think he would be a good head coach if the Titans hired him. I have no idea.
I would be lukewarm on the hire.
It would feel, and I wanted to go to a comment that I favorited earlier from Jason. Yes. Jason says, I'm out on Borgonzi if he picks a coach from the Chiefs. That's lazy stuff.
Can we talk about this? Because this is where I wanted to take it.
Let's do that here in a second. But first, tell everybody about I will tell everybody about our friends at Window Nation, because right now you can get a buy 4 windows, get 4 windows for free deal at windownation.com. You can go to windownation.com and get an estimate for no cost at all. And they will come to your home, check out your windows, talk about what you can improve with. And there is no responsibility for you. You don't owe them anything. You don't owe them a thought that you're going to get new windows. They just want to come present to you what their products are. And if you want them, great. If you don't, no worries. You got a connection for later on. But we did it. My house has brand new Window Nation windows. We got those installed right before Thanksgiving. So far, we love them. They're great. They look phenomenal. They've opened up our house even more, even though the window size, like in the hole in the house wall is the same, but we have more window, more sunlight, more natural light. It goes a long way, especially in the winter when we're all trying to fight off that seasonal depression. But Window Nation, phenomenal what they do. Their installers were great. Every person that we talked to along the way has been awesome. windownation.com. Buy 4 windows, get 4 windows free. You could get 0% financing for up to 2 years, and there's many options for you with financing as well. Buy 4 windows, get 4 windows free. windownation.com.
We are also powered by AtoZSports. Better for bettors. Use the link in the description below. That's going to get you a 2-week free trial. The app on your phone is easy to use, and it is easy to make money at the sportsbook when you have BTA Sports backing you. Give it a try. 2 weeks free. No risk, no hassle. You can cancel if it's not going to work if it's not working for you, but that's not going to happen. It's going to work for you. Check them out today.
All right, so Jason is the comment we were jumping on. He says, I'm out on Borgonzi if he picks a coach from the Chiefs. That's lazy stuff. So, Easton, you're about to dive into what your thoughts are on that, so take it away.
Nick Suss and I were talking about this yesterday, and I find this interesting just from like a social science standpoint. That because the question Nick posed to me and himself was, is there a way that we can avoid thinking less of Mike Borgonzi if he hires Matt Nagy? And the answer, fair or not, is no to me. I think that it's a total catch-22 where Nagy's kind of disqualified by default, by association. I wrote about this in the notebook that we'll hit. Whatever we don't naturally hit, I'll bring up here before the end of the show because I think there's some good stuff in there. The Titans are very, very adamant that they are not hiring buddies. And everyone knows the connection between Nagy and Borgonzi. It was detailed in kind of surprising fashion, I guess, in the Pompei article, where Nagy unprompted name drops Borgonzi as a guy that they had intimate discussions when Borgonzi was interviewing for the Titans GM job. So, like, clearly they trust each other. They have a relationship. This time last year, Chad Brinker was leading the GM search, and we were saying a lot of these same things about his buddy, and we know for a fact that they were more than just business friends or associates. They have a strong relationship. He and John Eric Sullivan, the Green Bay Packers executive, who's about to be the Miami Dolphins
VP of personnel, who right now lead dog in Miami's race and also a part of the Atlanta Falcons search.
That's right. He was, of course, a big part of the Titans search last year. Made it to round 2 of those interviews, and you could maybe reasonably assume he came in second for the Titans job. I don't know if they actually ranked him or not. I'm pretty sure they didn't, but it was very, very close. And Chad Brinker and the search committee last year did what they felt was best for the Tennessee Titans and had to have a hard conversation with John Eric Sullivan about him being a fantastic candidate, but not being quite right for what the Titans need right now, or maybe better said, not as perfect for the Titans as what Mike Borgonzi is. And I can't help but continue to bring that story up and think about that story as we're talking about Matt Nagy, because it's the same kind of deal. Even if the Titans go through the most independent search of all time, even if you and me and Paul Kaharski and Jared Stillman and every person that is the most critical of Matt Nagy in the world in the chat is all sitting in the room, and we're part of the jury of peers that votes on the Titans head coach, and we all came to the end of the process and actually agreed, you know what? Matt Nagy did win. Like, fair and square, Matt Nagy won this interview process. Even if that happens behind the scenes, which we can't possibly know because we're not actually a part of it. We're still going to think less of Mike Borgonzi because we can't know. We can't know that he was hiring his buddy. We can't know that this was the best guy for the job.
Yeah.
And until they start playing games and we start to see what Matt Nagy's vision for what his era for the Titans is, it's going to be a really significant uphill climb publicly. Which the other part of that is like the Titans search committee absolutely should not be making a decision based on that. Like when I put myself in their shoes, they shouldn't care a lick. Now, I think Amy Adams Strunk definitely cares a lick. And since she's the person that ultimately makes the decision, that's going to be a sell. Step one for Mike Borgonzi, if they pick Nagy, is selling it to Amy Adams Strunk, which I think is harder than people are giving it credit for. Then they have to sell it to the fans, which is obviously a hard task. So the whole thing is interesting. I kind of think that they can't hire him.
I was about to say the same thing. There is 0.0% chance that Mike Borgonzi can get away with hiring Matt Nagy.
Now, hang on.
Until games are played.
There we go. Because if he does it and Matt Nagy rules, he's a god.
Right.
He's here forever.
There is a long time before the Titans play a game.
Many months. Many months.
There is a long time.
Wailing and gnashing of teeth.
And so, look, the person with the most good faith equity in the front office to this fan base is Mike Borgonzi.
And he would be throwing it all away. It would be pretty much in this
pissing
one
all over it. And then light it on fire. Sure. Like that's what he would do. And it would be basically starting his own clock. Like
I have two.
Mike Borgonzi would take a time bomb that is fired day. My fired day. Yeah. And he would turn the bomb on, boop, and he would start that clock as soon as he hires Matt Nagy.
Well, the funny thing is he arguably did that from a historical standpoint with the Cam Ward draft pick. He would kind of be like voluntarily accelerating that clock, which is the dumbest thing you could do, right?
Yes.
I have two questions for you. Number one, I think you and I agree on what the compromise here is, right?
The Matt Nagy is offensive coordinator?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you made me guess today, I think somehow, some way, the arranged marriage here is that Matt Nagy's the offensive coordinator of this team.
And that's why
he's probably the head coach of his side of the ball, because I think they'll hire a defensive guy.
So that's why my first candidate off this list, it was not Matt Nagy, because I think there is a purpose to talking to Matt Nagy, and why I went with Lou Anarumo. Lou Anarumo is a Colts defensive coordinator who is calling plays inside the AFC South. Like, he is not going to jump from the Colts to the Titans. Like, that's just not going to happen. But Matt Nagy can jump and leave. He's already, like you talked about this. I talked with Charles yesterday too. And Matt Nagy is as good as gone.
Good as gone.
He will be working somewhere else. And so, and you can say that it would make sense for him it would be a slight promotion to go to a team where he is the play caller as the
I think a significant promotion, especially if he is the head offensive coach on the team. Like to go from non-play caller behind Andy Reid, one of the most revered offensive minds of NFL history, to the head coach of your side of the ball and the top offensive official on a coaching staff for a defensive head coach would be a very big deal for him. The only thing I have to say, how can I say this, about him being the offensive coordinator, because I think there'd be some strife over that too.
Definitely.
Certainly less, like way less, because this is like if it's like offensive coordinator to Chris Shula or something, it'll be drowned out by the excitement over the guy they hired for the head coach job.
I think Matt Nagy is a time bomb for Mike Borgonzi at whichever level.
Oh, okay, interesting. I don't know if I agree with that, but the thing that I was going to say is I think you can do a whole lot worse than bringing in the guy that has a very long history of success and trust with who I think might be the only player in the entire league that Cam Ward really respects. Like, not sourced, not a fact, probably hyperbole. Don't get me wrong. Like, I think he respects Jeffrey Simmons, right? But I think that there are only a handful of guys. I know that there are only a handful of guys that Cam Ward watches and studies and like aspires to be. And Patrick Mahomes is at the top of that list. So I think you can do worse than bringing that guy in. My second question for you, Austin, and this is more interesting, and I'm very sorry to evoke this name, but it's where I heard it. I heard Jared Stillman talking about this yesterday, and I think he's got. It's an interesting question because his point on Nagy, he ever the contrarian, Jared Stillman, he's on the Nagy train. He thinks that not only would it be fine if they hired him, but he's actively egging on Mike Borgonzi to hire him because I think he just wants to see the chaos. But his point was, I have seen this a million times before. I know what people think about Matt Nagy right now, what they claim about Matt Nagy right now. But if the Titans go and hire him, I think he said, within 10 days, fans will convince themselves to flip and be all in on Matt Nagy. They always do. So my question to you is, you think so?
No.
Okay. Generally speaking, he's right.
Yes,
fans do talk themselves into guys all the time.
And I mean, fans will be all in, they'll be excited and all that. But like, I don't think that's the case with this one. I think the Titans fan base has been burned too many times for them to they are no longer just going to gung ho accept whatever the franchise does. The Titans,
because there's a history of trauma. That's a good point.
The Titans fan base first initial instinct is to doubt.
At this point, 100%, yes.
And so that's what they're going to do. They're going to doubt. And another topic for another day when we have more time is which names, once we have more of a complete list, and maybe we whittle it down a little bit, it's which candidate has the highest initial immediate approval rate, right? Which one has less doubt? All that.
It's certainly not Matt Nagy.
No, Matt Nagy is going to be
at the very bottom.
I think so. I think he is the most flammable candidate they could possibly touch. And then secondly is Steve Spagnuolo. And, I tweet out this segment of, what would happen if Mike Borgonzi hires the Titans head coach from the Chiefs, and your boy Zach Lyons quote tweeted it being a little smart ass was like, then the Titans would have a head coach from the Chiefs. Okay. Yeah. But we're talking about the Mike Borgonzi part of it, of the burning of the equity that he has.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike Borgonzi's too smart to do that. He understands.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if Matt Nagy and he are that close, then Matt Nagy understands too. You get retread opportunities at head coaches in the NFL. You don't general manager.
You're right about that. I don't know. What Stillman said is stuck in my brain now. And it's the second social science part of this conversation that I find fascinating. If the Titans hire him, I am going to be so fascinated by how quick, because within 10 days, I'm with you. I don't think so. But they hire him, February 1st. You don't think by August 20th, fans have convinced themselves? I think they have.
No, I don't know. It's not a flipping or convincing themselves on Nagy. It's on the big picture. And I think what would do that is $105 million of cap space.
Sure.
The 4th overall pick, Cam Ward, and what they do with all of those resources. That is what would convince the fan base to not just be fuming at Nagy in the preseason.
Andre says people listening to Stillman is a social experiment in and of itself. You're right about that. One last thing. I know we're short on time. We got a lot to get to, but I think it's important for you and I briefly, because a lot of the people thinking that I and others in the media have been pumping up Nagy, I think is in part a symptom of us not actually giving our opinion of Nagy, because there's so much to talk about evaluating what the Nagy reaction would be. It's easy to just forget to mention your own opinion. What would your Austin Stanley opinion be of the hire? Regardless of what fans think, regardless of what it means about the front office, how would you feel if they hired him?
It's the same thing I said about Amy Adams Strunk after she fired Mike Vrabel. Best not miss.
High risk, high reward.
Yep.
I'm with you. It
honestly,
is a no risk, no biscuit move for sure.
I don't even know if it's a high reward.
I think it is. Because if Nagy's certified good, people are going to think Mike Borgonzi is the greatest evaluator of all time.
Fair.
But if he comes in and the Titans are, the Titans win 8-9 games next year and Cam Ward's and Darren, there is a reward there.
Darren picked up, she missed. And I think part of her missing is the constant instant reaction firings of others. 1,000,000%.
My reaction would be lukewarm. I don't think Nagy is nearly as bad a candidate as everyone making him out to be. I think that his stint in Chicago has aged pretty gracefully.
I agree. I agree with that too.
I think that he sounds like an interesting and changed man based on the profile that I read of him. When I talk to maybe the thing that matters most to me, when I talk to folks in the league, coaches who know these guys, who are not afraid, by the way, in private to tell you like that guy, I don't like him, doesn't have it, whatever. The only thing I've heard about Matt Nagy is that he is way better than people give him credit for, and that he's probably going to be a good coach.
He's a good person.
So
I hear that.
and he's a good person. Yeah. So like is he going to be my favorite hire? Certainly not. If you made me rank him, I would have at least 5 or 6 guys probably ahead of him. But
I bring up he's a good person. Like,
I would not.
Does that matter? No. I mean, to an
No.
extent. Like, you don't have to be like, you can be an ass and be a great head coach. I think the Titans used to have one. You can also be an ass and be a bad head coach. Titans used to have one of those too. Kim Wisenhunt. You can be a great guy and be a terrible head coach. I think that's Brian Callahan. Matt Nagy, I think what the important part of him being a good person and not an ass is that I think he is more open to being reflecting of himself and where his failures came in. I saw somebody mentioning the 40 plus page thing of what he did wrong in Chicago that Laura Oakman put him through. Yeah. In the Dan Pompei article. And like, I trust that process. And Big comes in here with a super chat. Guarantee the Bears Nagy hate is around the drafted QBs they fell in love with and sucked. Fans always blame the coach. Fans still hate Jeff Fisher for Vince Young. That's true. Jeff Fisher, Vince Young flaming out was always Jeff Fisher's fault, not the fact that VY didn't commit himself to becoming a franchise quarterback, and he wanted to be the same guy he was through high school and college, the best athlete on the field.
I'm glad you. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, like, I think the situation with Nagy is he inherited Mitch Trubisky. Right, it was year 2 Mitch Trubisky. He was not the coach.
Yes,
he was not the coach that drafted Mitch Trubisky. He was not.
Right, I don't think so.
Because Mitch
Trubisky was there when they drafted Fields.
He was there when they drafted Fields, and the idea was for Fields to not play. So I think what happened to Matt Nagy in Chicago is somewhat similar to what happened to Raheem Morris in Atlanta. Let me just go quickly here. There was a quarterback change to Justin Fields. Justin Fields was not supposed to play. It was going to be Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton gets hurt in like week 4 or 5. Justin Fields was forced to play. And then it did not go very well. And so then they fired the general manager and the head coach in Chicago and moved on. Raheem Morris gets fired yesterday after going 8-9 in back-to-back years with the Falcons. And along with him, Terry Fontenot and the president CEO as well, also out, Rich McKay. So the Falcons are just cleaning out. And the Bears did that because they brought in Kevin Warren to be the president, was the former Big Ten commissioner. They brought in Kevin Warren after the firing of the GM and head coach of Nagy situation. So they completely reset. And Matt Nagy was a winning record coach. He'd been in the playoffs twice with Mitch Trubisky. Mitch Trubisky obviously wasn't the future, so they draft Justin Fields for the long term. And then he was forced to play too early, and they got rid of him. The Falcons bring in Kirk Cousins, pay him a bunch of money, draft Michael Penix to be the future. Kirk Cousins didn't right from that Achilles, shocker. And then Michael Penix plays. It didn't go very well, and you had the situation that they had this year and more injuries and all that, and he's out because they want to clean it out from the top down. So that's kind of my overall comp there. Raheem Morris is a better coach than what he gets credit for. The situation was bad. I think the same thing with Matt Nagy and the Bears.
We really do have to move on, but how about this for a tease? I'm glad you brought up the whole Mike Vrabel being an a-hole alpha thing, because I think there's going to be an interesting question asked to Mike Borgonzi here in a couple of minutes. And I think there's actually an article that's already going to be circulated today by somebody else in the market, who I'm not like trying to pump them up or anything, but they brought this up and I was like, that's a really good point. I like that a lot. I think this will be an interesting show topic for us maybe tomorrow.
Ah, fantastic.
Alphas. Talking about alphas.
We'll get to that. And also, Easton's opening up his notebook about what Mike Borgonzi is likely to say in his press conference in less than an hour. But real quick, the Barton Drury Insurance Group, customized solutions for all of your insurance needs. They're right there, bartondrury.com. They will help you out with whatever you're looking for, whether it's your family, your personal insurance, whether it's health coverage, or if it's insurance for your home, your auto. If you got a boat, great. If you need rental insurance, awesome. That's important too. If you need anything else, umbrella policies, 401k planning, on the personal human side, they got you there. On the business side, they've got us covered with our workers' comp policy and provide the service to our employees for our health coverage. They can do it all. And they're local people. They're great people. They communicate nonstop and very well. So help them out by going to bartondrury.com, and they can help you out. bartondrury.com.
We're also brought to you by AtoZSports. Use the link in the description below, and they're going to help you make money at the sportsbook. You'll get a 14-day free trial with that app on your phone. You'll love it. I promise. Give it a try. Use that link.
Okay. So Easton's notebook. I will let you take it away here. We've got roughly 9 to 10 minutes. And so no throwing shade today, unfortunately.
Right. Shade on no shade. Sorry about that.
Shade on no shade, shade on time, and shade on traffic that Easton has to avoid as he runs down to St. Thomas Sports Park. So your notebook, take it away.
We've covered a decent amount of this naturally on the show today, but this is just kind of the what I think, what I feel, what I know about the Titans draft search based on my sourcing. As we talked about, Matt Nagy already confirmed, Mike McCarthy not yet confirmed, but those are two guys that I have heard for sure they're going to interview. Other guys that I have not heard explicitly, we will talk to this guy, but anecdotally I feel pretty good about them interviewing, are three guys that are in the playoffs. 49ers defensive coordinator Robert Saleh, Rams defensive coordinator Chris Shula, Packers defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley. Those three guys I feel very good about getting interview requests next week. We already know the other guys that they have brought in or requested to interview so far. The list right now is up to 8. My sourcing says the list initially was around a dozen with room to grow if they get through part of the process, do the first 6 guys, and they're like, oh, we're not really inspired by any of this so far. They'll probably broaden the search and send out a couple extra invites. Maybe that gets to 14, 15 guys ultimately in that first round. So that means there's between 6 and 8 more that could go out, or no, more like 4 to 6 or 7 more that we've not heard yet. So keep that in mind. And we've got an official interview request tracker on AtoZSports.com. So go check that out throughout the day, today and tomorrow and the next day, to make sure you're up to date on who's being interviewed. We've talked about the composition of the guys and how I don't think anybody's going to, like, my sourcing says that there's not going to be any real wild cards in there. Now, what does that mean? That's up to interpretation. I think that the Gruden bros are out of luck, for example. I don't think that they'll be, like maybe not like the Nate Shieldhouses of the world. If you're like, who's that exactly? Maybe not even the Anthony Campanellis of the world out of Jacksonville. I think that's kind of the line somewhere in there. These younger guys. Now, the contradictory element to this is that I'm also told, as we talked about earlier, they're going to interview some guys that aren't actually head coach candidates yet. They probably will be in the future, or maybe they're more coordinator or fact-finding mission guys. So there'll be some in there, but generally speaking, I think the final list of initial interviewees is going to be a lot of guys that you have heard it to be expected. Like maybe Steve Spagnuolo might be the most like out of left field name on the list ultimately. So on the topic of who's actually calling the shots for the Titans.
Yeah, that's not, I wanted to get to that before we ran out of time, which was, the restructure from Friday afternoon, because the intention was clarity from the organization.
That's right.
The result seemed to be confusion from the public. For the most part.
Yeah. So we've talked, I'm assuming, did y'all talk yesterday about this at all or not really?
Not much, because
we don't really have a lot of time to get into it. Basically, the Titans announced with an Amy Adams-Strunk statement on Friday that they were going back to a more traditional and more streamlined and more straightforward process for their front office. Mike Borgonzi is going to be the GM with enumerated GM powers of the 53-man roster. He's also going to be the one leading the head coach search. Chad Brinker is going to lean more into the things that he actually does, leading the operation on the football side, analytics, health, nutrition, all of these things. What it actually means for their jobs, not much. They're like functionally, they're literally not changing the things that they're doing day to day. What it means for the head coach search now that Mike Borgonzi is leading it. First of all, we've kind of been talking about him being the guy that's going to lead it ever since we heard him speak the first time after the trade deadline a couple of months ago. But now that that's official, what does that actually mean? He's the point person on the interviews, but like he and Chad Brinker are leading the interviews. And ultimately, some people are like, oh, it's not Chad's choice anymore. It's Mike's choice. Well, it's Amy's choice, actually. So the two of them and everyone else in the interview room are not choosing. They are recommending to Amy and presenting their case for why this guy should be the hire. Mike's going to be the point person on that. So maybe he's the person at the front of the room with the pointer and the laser on the whiteboard. But they are all trying to convince Amy on that decision. Any other questions that you have, Austin, or maybe that you think that the people have about the structure change? Because it is an interesting conversation about, like, well, what does this mean about the past year? Well, to me, it means this is an implicit admission that our process, our structure that we set up and we sold to you for a full year on it being awesome in the future, you either changed your mind and now that looks bad, or you were lying. I don't think they were lying. I think they, honest to God, changed their minds and just didn't think it would work here. Ultimately, I feel like they had to do this now because of the head coach search. Like, that's the primary driver of this decision, because all of these candidates had a lot of questions about the structure and, like, who's my boss? Who am I answering to? How many people are between me and the ownership? Naturally. So they just nipped that in the bud now. And that's a good thing. It makes the opening more attractive. But it does make them look kind of silly from the past year.
It does make them look silly. And Rooney says it means Brinker got demoted. And I don't think that's the case at all. I think
it's not.
And so
this was Brinker's idea, by the way, whether you want to, like, believe that or not. My strong understanding is that it really truly was Brinker's idea.
Okay, here's my read on it. Chad Brinker was given the president of football operations job and was leapfrogged Rand Carthon before Rand's final year and Callahan's first year as head coach, right? In the 24 season.
Yeah.
They had that structure. They needed that structure for some reason, right? Exactly. Rand, in my opinion, and I've been on record saying this, Rand and Chad wanted the same job responsibilities. They both wanted to be the football executive that wasn't grinding evaluation and film. And Chad was better than Rand at that responsibility. The president, the manager, the big picture doer than Rand. Mm-hmm. But they needed somebody to grind and evaluate. That's Mike Borgonzi. Mm-hmm. Mike Borgonzi, if you can't tell, is football all the time.
All day.
All day long, baby. And that's what you want. And so Brinker hires Borgonzi, and then after the first year of Borgonzi in the Brinker-Rand structure, the realization is Mike doesn't need this.
Right.
And so Brinker, it was previously Brinker and Rand. Then it was Rand gone, Borgonzi in. So Brinker and Borgonzi. Now it is this. Brinker slides over, Borgonzi bumps up. That is my kind of takeaway from it.
I hear you, and I largely agree with you on the whole Rand part of it. The only pushback is that, like,
it's not perfect, but yeah,
it's not perfect. The only thing I want to point out is that, like, this part isn't actually happening now. This part really happened when they hired Mike Borgonzi, because Chad Brinker and Mike Borgonzi have been a team this whole time.
Yeah,
and functionally, while on paper it was this, they've been working like this. So what Mike Borgonzi is doing now, what he was doing, is the same thing he's going to be doing now. The only difference is before it was an allowed power. Chad Brinker was technically in their contracts delegating to Borgonzi to do the things that he's doing. Yeah, now it is enumerated in his contract legally that Mike Borgonzi does these things.
Technically, contractually, Borgonzi had to get clearance from Brinker on certain things. Now that's no longer the case, but it was operating as it currently is. So I think we're saying the same thing. And Steven says, if that's the case, Chad needs to go. No, they're both valuable positions. I think that's the situation here. Because people are naturally going to pin Brinker and Borgonzi against each other, which doesn't need to be a side. Like, this is not, what was the werewolf and vampire movies? You don't need Twilight. To be team Edward and team what's his face. You don't need to do that. You just need to there doesn't need to be a team Chad and team Borgonzi.
Right.
They're the same team. But I feel like people are naturally saying, well, all right, get Brinker the hell out of here. Why? Because Brinker is doing Jacob. Thank you, people in the chat. So like Team Edward and Team Jacob. I don't know who's who. I think, in my opinion, Brinker is more vampire. I think Brinker is more vampire and Berganzi's more werewolf. That's just kind of my
all right. Sure.
You don't think so?
I mean, I guess. I don't know.
That's just my take. That you need, like, Chad Brinker's role is valuable.
Mike Berganzi is the one that hides from the sunlight all day long. So
yeah, but he comes out at night.
Vampire.
When the moon, werewolf.
Werewolves don't fear the sunlight.
Werewolves become wolves at night. They're
right, but vampires literally can't go outside during the day.
Yes, they can.
No, they can't.
Yes, they can.
This is like a fundamental part of vampire lore.
Do you not?
The sunlight burns their skin.
No, they go to look. Have you seen Twilight?
Not the fundamental literature on vampire lore.
Go to
Twilight.
high school. I'm talking about Twilight. I'm not talking about.
Can vampires go out in the sun? Yes or no? This is like 101. It's like one stake to the heart, holy water, garlic, and sunlight.
Vampires are a part of society.
They aren't.
They are in real life.
Have you noticed how in Twilight all of the daytime scenes are like when it's gloomy and dreary and cloud covered and there's no sunlight? There's a reason.
They go to high school. Like, they go do stuff. Like, that's the whole thing.
I feel like you're mixing Twilight with like Disney's Zombies or something. I don't know. This is not the day for this conversation. I got to get out of here.
All right. that is it for us. Shout out to our friends at Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process. WilsonCountyHyundai.com is where to go. Paying bonus, save you some money on that ride. Easton is hustling down to St. Thomas Sports Park, where the Titans and Mike Borgonzi will be having his press conference without Chad Brinker. So the werewolf will talk to the media while the vampire doesn't. So we will talk to you guys later on. Easton, you will have tons of content coming. Titans articles out, AtoZSports.com/Titans, all of our social media, everywhere to be seen. And you'll be on primetime tonight. And then I'll see you guys tomorrow morning on a Wednesday. But we have tons of stuff to get to. Make sure you hit that like button, like the show, and we'll catch you guys later on. Thanks.